Good afternoon. This is the chart of the week. Today we look at Bitcoin. Bitcoin has seen rather a strong decline ever since the top we had here in October and down to the level we are at right now. There's a lot of despair right now. People predicting that the top is in and we should go lower. People talking about the 4-year cycle and so on and so forth. What I see has nothing to do with the 4-year cycle or anything like that. It has to do with an asset in a structure, a long-term structure, which is coming to an end. And I just want to look first at the very long perspective. We see how we had a top here in 2017. We had a top in 21. Actually, there was another one here, but this was actually the Elliott wave top. And now we see how this top has been a little difficult to surpass for Bitcoin for a few times. And some analysts have been pointing that out. I don't think this has been the top yet. And if you look at it in a Elliott wave perspective, we normally see either expanding diagonals like this or rising wedges as the final top in a massive structure like what we had here going back to 2017 or even before that. And we always have the final fifth wave here in an expanding diagonal like what we see here. And the third wave here and the fourth wave is what has been a little difficult to understand and comprehend. We actually see how it's taken a long time for us to develop this structure here. And that is why we have seen Bitcoin not performing really well. Since December last year, we were actually down on the year in Bitcoin, which has come to a surprise to a lot of analysts. This makes sense in an expanding diagonal where we normally see something like this in a sideways kind of move before we see the final surge. And the final surge here can, if we look at the extension here of the third wave and apply that from the bottom of the fourth wave, which could be here, and we could even see it a bit lower here also. I have to be open about that. But if we have the bottom in here, well, then we could see it pushing into at least 140, I think maybe 154, and even all the way up to 175. Not a lot of people expect that right now. And it's honestly also for myself, been a surprise to see how long this has been going on. For now, we still have the support from the economic indicators from the economy itself that a risk-on move can develop. And we have liquidity now coming in. The TJA is now running back into the system again. That is fund from the treasuries that was piling up as we had the U.S. administration shutdown, and also the buying from the Fed now of treasuries. This is the liquidity. Some people will believe and think when we get to this level, or if we get here, let me put it like this instead, that we will continue up. Wait and see. We will see all the bulls coming in, claiming that Bitcoin now will continue up to 250,000, 500,000, 1 million, and you can go on. But the real situation is quite different. The situation is that as we have a rising expanding diagonal like what we have here, we need to watch the divergence of the setup in the RSI, which tell us how strong is this move actually. And there is a lot of weakness right now. This is a divergence going all the way back to March of 24. This will become almost a 2-year-long pattern when we see this final move higher, which I think we will. And this will potentially mark the final top in Bitcoin, and it will mark not just the top for the cycle here, but for the very long-term cycle, which goes all the way back to 2017, which means that this is an ending pattern, ending up somewhere up here, maybe 140, maybe 154, maybe higher, in a massive move where everybody becomes bullish right into the top. So be careful. Let's see when we see this bottom and this surge here could be as part of the Santa rally, which I think will set in within the next few days here. And we should then see a massive top developing into the beginning of the new year. Again, people always ask when instead of where and what. When, because they want to know exactly the date where they should get out, which nobody can predict. Nobody has a crystal ball. But what we do have is that we have a structure here that tells us that this can go on either into February. It could be before that. It could also be into only January. We could see a massive move, but February could be a suggestion, or even into May. So let's see how it all develops. I think people will be surprised by this move, and I'm quite certain that if and when we get here, we'll hear all the bulls becoming very, let's say, bullish, even more bullish and euphoric, and talk about Bitcoin continuing much higher. Let's do a follow-up in a later session or a later video when we see the development on Bitcoin a few weeks down the road. Thank you.